See, in here, you got this is, that's him, that's him. Over the years, it's hot pursuit. It's them. Here they come. There they go. Oh, listen, we got a hot pursuit. Oh, look, you're in the middle. Let's get that. It's hot pursuit. Buckle up. Buckle up for safety. Oh, I love it. I tell you, hot pursuit is my life. Fooled you, didn't I? This is not, I'm not chasing the Dukes, and this is not Flash. That's Bandito, my little beagle puppy. Take a look. Oh, you can't see. I'm going to show you my beautiful home that the Dukes built. Coo-coo. Come on, baby. Come on. Come on. Come on, Bandito. Bandito almost choked Croker. Come on. This is it. Come on. I have to knock. She makes me knock. See, I always knock. You don't boo-boo. There, I'm inviting them in.
Oh, great.
Come on in. They're just with love. Go win a dog. And they just. My house, we're having a good time. Listen, we really are. I'm going to reminisce with you and tell you things that you didn't know that happened in the 7 years that we shot over 150 Dukes of Hazzard episodes. For instance, this is one of them. I never knew any of the actors that were, I never met John or Tom or Kathy. Now Denver I knew, and Sorrell I knew of him because Sorrell was a magnificent actor and he had done an awful lot of movies. I just hadn't been fortunate enough to work with him up to then. In Denver I'd worked with in Left-Handed Gun, he blows my head off with a shotgun, and with Paul Newman who played Billy the Kid, and I was one of his friends, and I get killed by Denver. And then Denver and I worked together in Shenandoah. He played a preacher. I didn't have any scenes with him, but I worked with him over the years, Gunsmokes and Rawhides and all those other Western things in there. We were always shooting at each other, doing something, but I knew Denver. Denver's a marvelous actor and a very nice man and very helpful. He was very helpful with the younger people on the show that didn't have as much experience as he had. The future cast of the Dukes of Hazzard, believe it or not, was in Forest Lawn. Forest Lawn, you have to always think is a graveyard. Well, the rich and famous, or I don't know. But anyway, they plant a lot of people up there. But it's very beautiful, and I don't know why they want to do a photographic shoot of the cast. And so the limousine picked up Sorrell and my wife, and we drove up there, and we got lost, and we drove around in the park for an extra hour and a half, I guess. And finally, we found where they were shooting the stills of Kathy and John and Tom, and Sonny Schwartz wasn't on the show at that point. He came on later, but then they took stills of us, and we all met each other. And I said, "Boy, I'm terrible with names. I can't remember names." They said, "Well, this is John Schneider, and this is Kathy Bach, and this is Sorrell Booke." And I was like, "God, I hope I can remember the names." And after 7 or 8 years of shooting Dukes, I remembered their names. I never saw such a bunch of wonderful, unselfish, generous people in my life, without exception. on the weekend they all go out to personal appearances to hospitals and raise millions and millions of dollars for people less fortunate than ourselves. And we went to Hazzard, Kentucky, in fact, and raised over $1.5 million for the coal miners' families and stuff like that. And we were really family. You're going to be a family, or you'll kill each other. In 7 years, we spent more time together, probably 8, 9, 10 hours a day, than most people do with their real families in their whole life. And so we still talk to each other on the phone and everything. And when I went out to California and I did my play Hell Bent for Good Times, and produced it out, my wife produced it out there for me, and I acted in it. And some of my students from my acting school, Gary Busey and those people, and of course the cast came down to see the play. And in fact, that was the last time I saw Sorrell Booke. And Kathy was there, and so they were very supportive of each other, and we hope to do that reunion at the first of the year, so we'll have it. The comedy team with Sorrell and I came about, actually, at first Sorrell played such a heavy in the series. He played such a mean guy and so I went to the powers that be and said, it should be a nice relationship with Sorrell and I. We can do sort of a modern day Laurel and Hardy type of thing, and if Rosco likes Boss Hogg, then maybe other people will like him too. And it did. It worked very well, and that's why I would go, little fat little buddy and chubby buddy, and it really became a wonderful relationship with Sorrell and I. A lot of people want to know if all episodes of Dukes were shot in Georgia. No, unfortunately, we shot 5 of them down there, and then they decided to move back to California. And so we moved back there, and they built this great, huge Dukes of Hazzard city behind Warner Brothers on the back lot. And then for the locations where we chased and had hot pursuit, I love hot pursuit, hot pursuit. Anyway, we did that way out there in the desert. It didn't look like Georgia. Nobody was fooled about it, but there was too much dust and heat. And we went out there, and Disney had a big ranch out there where they shot a lot of their movies, and we tore up their grass so bad with the General Lee and my cars that they threw us off, and then we had to go further into the desert, and that's the truth. So there. I happened to be in Hollywood at the time, and I'd made a picture with Burt Reynolds called Hoop, and played his buddy in that. And while I was there, my agent said, you want to go over and see these producers about a new series called Dukes of Hazzard. I thought it was a street gang out of New York. And I said, no, I don't want to do a street gang thing. And they said, no, this is a good old boys thing, and they're going to shoot it down in Georgia. I said, oh, goody gumdrops, our class won the Bible. I said, no, I'd like to go down there, and that would be great. So I went in on the interview, and all these producers were like the Inquisition, and I didn't know whether they were going to execute me or give me a job. And I said, well, how would you want me to portray Rosco P. Coltrane? And they said, well, we really don't know. Have you got any ideas? I said, I tell you, I don't either. But they said, well, we want it to be funny. I said, well, I'm not a stand-up comic, but I said, I'll read the script for you. And I took the script, and what I did, I have 2 daughters now, and when they were little girls, I just played Rosco like a child, and what I used to read little stories and things to my 2 daughters, and I would kid around with them, and I'd do all these silly noises and things like that, and that's what I put into Rosco. And I said, everybody loves a child, and I played Rosco the whole series childlike. And at the beginning, that's not what I did. If you'll notice the first few episodes, I shot a guy in the knee, and didn't like Boss Hogg at all, and we changed it around. I said, I don't want using any naughty words or anything like that, and let's play it for the whole family, and that's what we did. We became the most, I guess, we were #1 for 2 or 3 years, or we always competing against 60 Minutes, I guess, but anyway, we were very popular, and thanks to you fans, and that's why we're going to hope to do a reunion come the spring. I believe in having fun, and I believe in making people laugh. I think there's not enough laughter in this world, and if I contribute to that, the enjoyment of anything, I think perhaps maybe that was my purpose, rather than digging coal in Kentucky, where my daddy and my family lived when I was a little boy. Rosco P. Coltrane set me free. I got to work with wonderful people over a long period of time. We became family. But it also, forever positive, perhaps there's an opposite equal force, and that can be called typecasting. A lot of people in California were young people at the time, grew up knowing Rosco P. Coltrane, and now they're producers or directors, and they don't want to see me do anything other than Rosco. And what they don't know is that before I did Rosco P. Coltrane, I did 83 feature pictures, and I did over 600 television shows in my career before I did Dukes of Hazzard. And but it typed me. It hurt my career as far as doing many other pictures and stuff. But that's all right. My wife and daughter and I formed our own movie company down here in Florida called Best Friend Films, and we just shot our first feature picture, which I wrote and starred in, and my wife and my daughter were the executive producers on it. And we use local people down here, we use students, we use professionals, and we just have a ball. And we turned out a good product, but it's for television, and will be available on into the near future. Now I'm going to tell you, the Boar's Nest actually existed in Georgia. It was a biker's joint, and it was really beat up. And I think they rented it from these boys. I think either that or the boys were arrested and they just took it over. I don't know for sure. But anyway, the Boar's Nest actually existed. And we shot there, and then when we came back to California, the designers went in there and photographed every inch of that Boar's Nest and rebuilt it to the exact T, right down to the last boar's breath. See, you thought I was going to say a naughty. As you'll notice, probably, and I was out of, or maybe you were glad to get rid of me. I was off the show about 6 shows, I guess, 7 shows. The producers put in the rag magazines and the Enquirer and those different things that I quit the show because I wanted a makeup man, a special makeup man, and all this other stuff. It's ridiculous. I didn't wear makeup. A little eyeliner once in a while and a little sunscreen to keep me from burning up, but I quit the show because they were scuffing me so daggone much, you know. I mean, they actually were abusing us as actors with the pond and stuff. They wouldn't have the proper equipment or the dressing rooms close enough where we could take a shower and stuff like that. So, but one of the main reasons I quit is because they were abusing some of the people in the crew, and I told them to check their act. And I was doing a lot of the rewrites on the show, not getting even any credit for it, much less the money for it. And also, I wanted to direct, and was certainly capable of doing so. And they refused all of it. And so I said, okay, I'm gone. I came down here to Florida. I said, you haven't got anybody in Hollywood with big enough intestinal fortitude to come down to the swamps and get me out of there when I'm fishing. Go to heck. And so I quit 6 shows. Well, they tried everybody in town, and they just couldn't work with with Boss Hogg. Boss Hogg was ready to pull his hair out if he had any, and so they tried to replace me with some fairly good actors, Dick Sargent, but they just didn't have the chemistry that Sorrell and I had built up over the years, and so they come back and said, "What it'll take to bring you back?" And I said the very same thing I told you when I left, and so I made more money, got to direct, got to write, and got the credit for it. A lot of people ask about the stunts on the show. You know, if we did our own stunts. What I did the chase stuff. The camera truck would get in front of me, camera car, and we'd go screaming around those curves and sliding and doing all that stuff. And John and Tom drove the General League quite a bit. Now the big jumps. Now I know you fans are absolutely aware that you couldn't possibly do all those stunts. Because we had real professional stuntmen, and even they, a large time, were in the hospital from the tremendous stunts they did on the Dukes of Hazzard, and they were very dangerous. A lot of them were terribly dangerous. The jumping of the cars over trees and over trucks and mid-air collisions, and the motorcycle stuff was always, it seemed like someone always got injured on that. That was very serious stuff, and it was done by professionals. We got a letter from some people down in Florida when we were doing the Dukes, from a senior citizens home. And they wrote and said, listen, we bought a General Lee and we can only jump at, about 18 feet. and our hair stood on end when we rode. When we immediately called down, I said, "Please don't jump those things." We have professional stunt drivers that run that car up on a ramp, on a steel ramp, and whip it up and make that thing jump the canyons and everything. We went through. Everybody asked how many cars we go through. Well, it depended on the show, of course, but generally we'd tear up 2 or 3 probably on each show. What we'd smash them on one side, and then we'd photograph it on the other side and smash it. And if anything was left, then we'd jump it, and that would take care of it. I mean, that would wipe it out. So then we'd have another Charger the next week. We had a lot full of Chargers, and we had 2 garages working on them at all times. Mostly my police cars, because naturally I climbed trees with mine and everything. I was a good squirrel hunter. Of course, I ended up a lot in the pond. Now, I did that. They had to put me in this pond. What they did, there was a big gully there that they filled with tanks and tanks of water, and that stuff was really glucky, really glucky. And man, I mean, they jumped the car in the water, and then I'd swim out and dive down and get under the water in that car, and then I'd come popping up, and I hated that. I mean, well, a lot of times we got out of location, it was cold. I'm serious, it was bone-chilling, teeth-chattering, blue skin cold, and get in. They say, "Well, the first shot's so Rosco in the water." I said, "I knew it. I hate it." And I'd get in there and do it, and then it'd get hot, real hot. I'd say, "Well, I'm ready for a jump. Let's go in the pond." Hell no, we ought to shot that. Oh, good grief! All right, so now we do a chase, and a lot of times get in the car and they put the camera on in front of my car, and I turn the camera on myself. And I'd take this clapboard, and I'd go, "Duke's Hazzard, take 1, this ye," and then that's to make the sound, to check for the sound. Then I'd have the camera turned on, and then I'd go like a bat and say my dialogue and talk to Flash or whatever. And then when I was finished, then I would slate it, and I say, "Well, that's the end of that dialogue," and that made the sound man jump when I clicked those clickers. The stunts, some of the stunts that the actors actually did get us into trouble a little bit. John was almost killed by a lamp. He bumped, in a fight sequence, he bumped a lamp along the street, and it was a very large lamp, and weighed probably 20 or 30 pounds, and fell off and just grazed his head and hit his shoulder, hurt his shoulder. Another time, Tom Wopat ran into an 18-wheeler in the front and bounced off of it with the General Lee. And we found out later that he wasn't wearing his glasses. We didn't know he wore glasses, and he hadn't got his contacts made yet, so he couldn't see that well. And John had been riding with him all that time. Another time with Enos, not Enos and I, but Cletus. They'd run the 2 cars up like that, and they stopped, and we're crawling in and out of the windows with the cars like this, and we're way off the ground. And they supposedly chained them together. And I was crawling in and out, and I was fussing at him and hitting him with my hat. And then they say cut, and they stopped the cameras, and I crawled out the window and was standing up on top, maybe 15 feet above the ground. And Cletus did too, and all of a sudden the cars fell and mashed, and I could see the metal bend where a few seconds before had been our heads. We would have been decapitated. That was not funny. I think working with Sorrell was the greatest blessing I've ever had, because, as I say, we worked so well together. We had a scene where we're eating spaghetti, and I take one strand and stick it in my mouth, and he sticks the other end, and we start munching it until we get to the end. And then he very quietly picks a pair of scissors and cuts it in 2. I got a half a piece of noodle in the whole 150 shows. Anyway, so that was fun. One time I thought it'd be very funny if I light Boss Hogg's cigar and catch his hat on fire. And the producer said, "Well, we can't do that. Those hats cost $200 or $250 for some stupid reason." I said, "Well, I'll just burn one." Excuse me. I said, "Can I set your hat on fire?" He said, "I don't care." So I soaked his hair hat with lighter fluid. Now, hell, I didn't know what it was going to do, how much of a blaze it was going to be. I said, "Sir, I don't know how big that blaze is going to be. It gets too high, well, just knock it off." He said, "Okay." So I soaked it. We got in the scene, rolled the cameras, and I lit it. And what was amazing, it was just a little tiny little teensy bitty flame popped up. It was blue. Well, part of it was green and chartreuse. Anyway, it flamed up about like that. And it started getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And we're doing the scene. And I'm watching that flame, when the flame finally, and it's getting up there. It looked like it's a Chicago fire. I mean, there was a blaze coming out. I thought he was going to catch his bald little head on fire there. And the crew were falling down. They were laughing. And so they finally cut the scene and we put the fire out. But I think it was a very funny sequence, and I can't remember which one it was. And I haven't seen it, and that I'm going to have to look for that. I think the dumbest, funniest thing we did, Sorrell and I were always incognito and spying on the Duke boys, as you know. And so they thought it would be funny if he and I dressed up like women. I'd never dressed up like a woman before, had no desire to, and neither did Sorrell, I guess. He had better legs than I did anyway. Anyway, we were on high heels and we're falling all over the place and running around. The crew are falling apart. Sorrell's an ugly woman. He was ugly fat woman, and I was an ugly skinny woman. In fact, somebody said, "Good Lord, thank God your daughters took after their mother because you were one ugly woman." Anyway, we laughed and scratched and had a good time on that. And I had trouble keeping my knees together. Yeah, I was fortunate enough when I came back, they let me direct some of the Dukes. And I got to work with Cale Yarbrough. I worked with Cale. They gave me really some of the worst scripts because I guess they wanted me to fall on my tushy. I don't know, maybe they didn't. Anyway, I directed the suckers, and I brought them in under budget, and I brought them in under time, and sometimes picked up scenes from other directors. But I taught camera technique for 35 years with an acting school. I was a little different director. I wanted the crew and cast to have fun. After all, we were shooting a comedy. So as a gag, I went in with the Cecil B. DeMille pants. I don't know what they called them, but with the boots and megaphone, like in the old days in the 20s and stuff. And everybody laughed and giggled and had a good time. And I had a lovely young lady that was dressed like a Elizabethan, very proper, with a silver tray. And whenever the crew wanted a Coke or anything, well, this lovely lady would get them one. Oh, they loved that. They wanted me to direct every episode. I don't blame them. If you'll notice, there was a couple episodes. One episode called "Wanted Dead or Alive" or something like that. Dead or Alive, or you probably know more about it than I do. Anyway, I used some of my original paintings in it. Later on in this video, you'll see some of my paintings. They're the southern scenery and the beautiful colors that I grew up with in Kentucky and Indiana. And now I'm going to tell you about Belvedere's. Oh God, she got a little wrinkled. Oh, I loved her. I love her. Long, soft velvet ears, and she'd do anything. She had her own dressing room. I had her own dressing room. Come on there with wheels, and whenever she wasn't shooting, she'd be in the little dressing room. And then I'd say, "Okay, Flash," and boy, she'd come and get in the car with me. And Flash came on and was trained by Alvin, who was a little trainer, and Flash was from a dog pound, and so we got her. And Alvin and I owned Flash, which Warner Brothers found out much later when we asked for more money for Flash. Flash used to get $2,000 on a personal appearance, and so little Alvin made a lot of money on that. That was marvelous, and he opened a little dog pound. When Flash was first on the show, I called her a boy. And then later on, I called her a girl. The reason was, I don't know what the reason was. I'm not kidding. I didn't know. Flash and I had a wonderful thing with our acting. She didn't ad-lib very much. And so she was always looking out the window. I wanted her to look out the window to see the Duke boys. And so she loved wieners. So I'd take a chunk of wieners and put it up on the visor. And boy, she'd just stay there and look at that wiener until they'd cut, and then I'd give her that wiener. So it looked like she was looking out the window when we were in hot pursuit of the Duke boys. She loved wieners. She was well, dogs like wieners. Well, now I'm going to give you a wonderful treat. I'm going to show close-ups of my lovely wife, who I met in 1977, and we started dating together. It was the second. Well, the first best thing, was it the second best thing? Oh, you rascal, you. Isn't she lovely?
Actually, what I remember is Jimmy had come back to LA from Mississippi. He'd been living in Mississippi for a while, and he came back and was associate producer on The End. Burt Reynolds' film The End. And we met then and started dating, which was kind of neat.
And then, ooh, she's got velvet ears too. I'm not kidding.
Actually, I sort of look like one of the beagles, actually, and then I sort of look like my dog. So
Now, we have to tell them about, my wife was the executive producer on our movie, in Death Mask.
Oh yeah, we're going to tell you more about that later though, because
Right.
we're going to show you some clips and everything.
Right.
But the main thing we want to tell you now is we have a real bit of trivia that very few Dukes fans know at all,
Right.
which is?
Guess. No, you might not know this, but my wife was in a Dukes of Hazzard with Mel Tillis.
That's right.
And tell them how wonderful it was working with me.
Oh.
I mean, Mel.
Oh, Mel. Okay,
Yeah.
I can tell that. Okay,
Okay.
that I can tell.
Okay.
Actually, the episode is called The Rustlers, and it aired in September or October of
I don't know.
80. 80, I think it did. 80. Anyway, it's with Mel Tillis, and he plays my brother, or I play his sister in it.
Should
'cause
have played your grandfather.
he was the star and all and everything.
I was just flashes.
Well,
and
I mean,
stuff.
he was the guest star.
Oh,
The guest
yes,
star.
he did.
I mean, so anyway, so I played his sister, and I remember that the producers were real worried because I was supposed to be like 18 or 19 years old, and I was about 31 years old. And so they were kind of worried that I was going to look too old for the character. So they put my hair in these pigtails and all. So the first day of rushes, we went in to see rushes, and everybody said, "Oh my God, it looks like Mel Tillis's daughter instead of his sister."
Granddaughter.
So, no, daughter. So anyway, I passed muster that I didn't look too old to play his sister, but it was really fun. But a lot of people don't know that I did that episode. And the main thing I remember about it is, as we all know, Mel has a little
She stutters slightly.
problem, and it gets worse when he gets nervous. So actually, as we got into the episode, he had a lot of more dialogue than you actually see in the episode because he couldn't get it out. And they named the horse. It was all about this horse that the Dukes, or Boss Hogg said that the Dukes stole. And the name of the horse was Manassas. Well, anybody that has a stutter problem is going to have a little difficult time getting out
You kept saying molasses. I think.
So as we got into the shoot, and you have a tendency to kind of go like that, waiting for him to get out the dialogue. So he'd say, "You say it, you say it." So I ended up with about twice as much dialogue in the episode than I was supposed to have because Mel just couldn't get it out. But we had a good time, and it was
Mel
really
was good on it too.
He was. It was
very
a-
good.
it
And
was
my
fun
daughter
episode.
did a Dukes of Hazzard.
Yes, both daughters.
Called Mary Kay's Baby.
No.
It wasn't?
It's called
What the heck do I
a
know?
Baby for the Dukes.
What?
Well, we got married in 1986, the year after the Dukes went off the air. And we got married out in Los Angeles because most of my family and all our friends and all live out there, even though we live in
I
Florida.
had to wait till the finish of Dukes to have enough money to afford that kind of wedding. You know,
Yeah.
it was a doozy,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
yeah,
We
sure.
had fun.
This was the excuse he gave. So we got married at the
That's a lot
Edwardian
of doggy
Inn.
num-nums if I've ever seen it there.
It was called the Edwardian Inn in Manhattan Beach, and it was August the 15th, 1986, and it was wonderful. It was really nice, and actually the Enquirer covered it too, but they were really nice.
Yeah, we
They did a-
upstaged Zsa. Of course, Zsa has been married 56 times. And
So we had better coverage. But
okay,
what do we do on an average day now that we've left Hollywood?
we're very busy.
Well, we're very busy. Well, as he told you before, and you'll hear about later, we have opened our own little film production company, so that keeps us very busy in doing things. And we have lots of hobbies.
Yes.
Our favorite hobby,
Our favorite hobby, because
besides our puppies, besides our puppies.
Sitting on this beautiful 240-acre lake, which is full of fish, we have a boat, and we go fishing. And sometimes we don't even fish, we just go out and we watch the beautiful sunset. Okay, let's go back here. Cast off, skipper! All right, here we go, we hope. Hey, teaser. Is this as much fun as when you caught your sailfish?
Well, it's kind of a different type of fishing, but that was really fun. It was hard too. It took me about 20 minutes to get it in. I know somebody else that caught a sail when you were fishing. You're good luck for people catching sails. Remember when you went fishing with Sorrell? He had never been fishing before?
My little fat buddy. Yeah, we went out of, what port was that?
Fort Pierce, down in Florida.
On a thing called a Happy Hooker. What a name, huh? Anyway, it was a very, very, very good lucky boat, and we caught a lot of fish off of that particular boat. And Sorrell had never fished before in his life, and he got seasick. But God love him, he was full of it. When he caught that sail, he wasn't sick, but after he caught it, he got sick. That's my little fat buddy. I miss him. You know, here we are on this wonderful boat down here in Fort Pierce. It's called the Happy Hooker, and I got my little fat buddy, Sorrell Booke, who you all know pretty much better as Boss Hogg.
Oh yeah, get away from me, will you please?
Cheeks, I just can't stand it.
For goodness sakes, I'm Sorrell Booke, not Boss Hogg.
That's right, I keep
Sometimes
forgetting.
You can't kill them apart.
No,
can you?
can't tell.
Well, it sure is nice to be able to be with you today, going through this beautiful harbor and out to sea. How far out are we going to catch these fish?
Oh, maybe 200 or 300 miles.
Oh, really?
I think it would.
I knew you brought something to eat now, didn't you?
Yes, brought plenty to eat.
Yeah, you may not catch any fish, you know, and then it's hard to cook them out here, isn't it?
You're going to give me a nibble this time.
Well, we'll see.
See, you haven't changed.
Well, you've changed. You're providing the food, aren't you?
Yeah,
this time?
I always provided the food, it seemed to me. No corn dogs, though.
No, none of them today. All right, I got a sail. Now, which one do I grab here?
All right, just let him run.
All right, I'm going to let him run.
All right.
I'm holding on tight now. Did I crank some more?
Little tiny bit, yeah. Get that swivel about it. An inch from the rod tip. That's all you want to do.
Okay.
That's good, right there.
Oh, that's a beautiful sail. That's a beautiful sail.
Okay, Rod, right there, Rod. Get it, Phil.
Oh, I got
Get
it.
Phil.
Woo!
Come on. Okay, good going. Now in the boat.
Get,
Good shot.
okay, so
Goodness sakes alive.
turn, okay.
Goodness sakes alive. That was the one. Goodness sakes alive.
Step back over here, so
I don't know how I did it, but I did it.
get back over
It had to be done, folks. It had to be done.
There, you can sit right here if you want to. Sit right here.
Oh, my goodness.
Rod, just hold them over there.
Well,
Woo! I'm proud of you.
well, thank you, Jim. I don't know, we're only just started to put out those lines, and we caught them right off, and you're sure a good teacher about telling me how to go easy and pull in, and then let it out and reel in.
That's a beautiful sail.
And
Need a bucket right here.
we need a bucket here because they're preparing the fish. Well, I guess because it's, we know we throw some of them back, but because it's the first one I ever caught, so I guess I'm permitted to take it home.
Okay,
Right?
move over here. Get your fish.
All
Now,
right.
wait a minute there. I'll tell you,
There you go.
I'm ready to be mounted myself. I don't mind telling you. He wants me to grab this
Grab
fish.
that fish right there.
Oh, wait a minute! Hold
look at
it!
it.
Warn me about it!
Look at that sail. Look at the color in him. Ain't he pretty one?
Goodness sakes! All right,
He's a little bit bigger than I thought he was there.
there's the fish.
All right. That's
And I
a
caught
fine
him.
job.
And thanks to you all.
Okay. We did real fine.
This is where I relax. This is my art gallery where I spend a lot of my time painting. I do a lot of different types of paintings. I do a lot of watercolors and oils. Burt Reynolds had a showing for me when I was doing, when I was produced on Gator. And we were down in Savannah, Georgia. And actually, we shot in Conyers, Georgia, where Dukes of Hazzard was shot, believe it or not, on Gator. And while we were down there, I did a lot of paintings. And these are some of the inspirational points that I saw all through the South. I've traveled all over the South. I love the South, of course. I paint mostly southern landscape because that's where I was born. I was born in Kentucky, in a little coal mining town in Powderly, Kentucky, and my daddy was a coal miner, and there was I had a lot of brothers and sisters for him to feed, and so I was adopted when I was 4 years old and raised in southern Indiana, right across from Louisville, Kentucky, by a lovely couple, Armin and Essa Best, and it was during the Depression. They couldn't afford me really. And times were hard, but but we laughed and giggled because we didn't know we were poor, because everybody else was too. So I wrote a play called Hellbent for Good Times, and it's a bittersweet comedy, and my wife produced it, and we did it in 5 or 6 different cities, and we got standing ovations every time. So I was encouraged enough to write a movie called Hellbent for Good Times, and nobody has seen this. Now, you'll be the first ones to really see this, other than the people who paid for a theater ticket. And we did put it on video, and I'm going to put it on this tape for you to enjoy, and I hope you do, and I hope you let me know if you liked it. This is Peggy Stewart and I in a scene called Hellbent for Good Times. Seems to me the good Lord did what started and what he wanted to do with us old folks when we got old.
What you mean?
Well, just when a person gets enough age on them to really have enough brains to really enjoy life, he starts taking things away from you.
Yeah. Oh, he does no such thing.
What the heck he don't? What happens when you get old? I'll tell you what happens, J.D. First your eyesight gives out, then you go deaf, and then everything else sort of follows along right after, you know. Everything's supposed to be soft, gets hard. Everything's supposed to be hard, gets soft. And if there's anything else in any kind of working order, it either caves in or falls off. Let me go first, would you? Let me do that.
John.
We'll do that, yeah.
You mean you love me so much you wouldn't want to live without me?
Well, I've had you around so dang long, Ada, I don't think I could replace you.
Well, you do. You love me.
Well,
But you just ain't said it right out where I could hear it.
Well, that's
Come
much
on,
easier.
say it
It's
one
much
time,
easier.
right out where I can hear it.
I'd have to say it awful loud for you to hear it. You're deaf as a post.
We're beating around the bush. Come on, say it.
What?
I
I can't do it. You're mashing me.
Got
Don't
to
mash
say
me.
it, say it.
I'm not going to do it while you're mashing. No one can say it if they're mashed. I'm going to say it for you. All right, you ready, Ada?
I've been ready for 40 years.
All right. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
I'm not, Ada.
Yeah,
I'm not ready. Now, you just can't rush in and say something like that. It takes... I love you, woman. I always did and always will. I said it, didn't I? Did you hear it? Look at that, I did it, didn't I? Did it make you happy?
Of course it made me happy.
Yeah, that's
I got
nice.
chills when you said
You
that.
did it?
Yeah, oh, look at here, I got goosebumps.
Of course, one of my big passions other than hot pursuit is writing. I like to write. I've been writing for a lot of years, but I did write quite a few scenes with Sorrell and I on the Dukes of Hazzard. My daughter and my wife, of course, produced on Death Mask, and they were the producers on it, and my wife edited, and Steve Ladshaw was the director. He's a new young man that you can watch for because he's going to be a big director.
Wilbur was a second-generation carny. He carved scary masks for the sideshow. His daddy was a carny clown, a good one, but a really mean drunk. One day he caught Wilbur playing with his makeup kit, shoved his face onto a red-hot stove burner and scarred him for life, inside and out. Scars that nightmares are made of.
My daughter goes with Michael Damian, when you see him on Young and Restless, and she was producing, Michael wants to direct, and he was going to direct a little thing that he had written, and so they asked if I'd come to California and do it, and so I went out and did it, and it's called Finders Keepers. And it's the Dukes. And they're speeding again, and here comes Rosco P. Coltrane going backwards. Gee, I gotta turn it around. Here comes Dipstick. Oops, oh, see there. Well, run off the cliff there, into the pond. Listen, I think he scuffed his car. Yeah. This is a toy car. He couldn't have scuffed the car. I want to thank you all very much for purchasing this tape and sharing with me this moment of fun with my family, and I hope that you enjoy this tape. So now, if you'd like to, you can go fishing with Flash and I, because we're going down to the bank and we're going to catch a great big one. Well, looky there, go Flash, gosh, love you. You brought me your tackle box. Oh, how unselfish. Look at that. Cool. Did you know I needed that to catch these big fish, don't you? I had a Rosco rod and reel, and we know that's the very best to catch fishes. If more daddies would buy their little ones a Rosco rod and reel, they'd have a good one, wouldn't they? Yeah, well, it's the very best, and it won't break on them, and it won't get wrinkled like you do. I don't mean to hurt your feelings. Yes, Flash has her own tackle box. You ought to get one for your puppy or get one for your little one. They make good. They keep the Rosco lures in there and everything. Good to it. And with these rod and reels, they're sturdy. No telling what you can catch on one of these. Oh, Flash, we got a bite. Oh, Flash, no. Oh, we got one. Oh, this is humongous. Flash, oh, we got it. Oh, Flash, we're gonna have dinner. It's what is, something? It's bigger than the last one. This is at least a foot long. Oh, goodness. Well, I like soul food. Good. That food. Come on, Flash. Come on, Flash. You want to go fishing? Oh, I saw your little ears perk up on that one. And get your tackle box and your lures, and I'll get my Rosco fishing rod, and we'll go. I could dream and sit around wishing, but me and Flash, well, we're going fishing. Ain't gonna let no worries get us down. Me and old Flash will have some fun, gonna catch that fish. You know the one, that big fat critter that always gets away. Slippery rascal.
If Flash ain't got no cash for money,
but we don't need no money anyhow.